World number one against world number two, or Djokovic versus Medvedev in this year's 2021 US Open men's single final. Unlike the women's single final bracket where they decided to send two unranked teenagers to the final, which I have no problem with, by the way, I think that's going to be a great matchup. The men's singles said, all right, we're going to send the 1 and 2 ranked players in the world to duke it out to see who's the best. And not only who is the best, but if the world number one Djokovic can complete the calendar Grand Slam. In this video, we are going to talk about their matchup on Sunday. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you my prediction on who I think is going to win. So be sure to stick around for that. But first, we have to talk about how Djokovic and Medvedev got to the finals, starting off with Medvedev as his match was first yesterday. He faced off against the 12th ranked in the world Canadian Alissime, who a lot of people would say was probably finally starting to live up to the expectations that have been put on him for the past couple of years. And a lot of people were sort of thinking that this might have been his year to make it to a final of a major. Now, full disclosure, I was not able to watch that entire match. I had a prior engagement, so I was only able to watch like the first set and a half. But when I did eventually look at my phone and saw that it went straight sets, I'm not going to say that I was shocked. I didn't see anything spectacular out of either of them, more specifically Alissime, hence why he went down in 3. But it looked very much like business as usual for Medvedev. And so far, that seems to be Medvedev's MO this tournament, because of his 6 matches that he has won so far in the US Open, he has won 5 of them in straight sets, and the other one only needed to go 4. So this is going to be a huge point that I'm going to be talking about after I discuss Djokovic's match. Basically, Medvedev has had to put in almost no work to the final. And I mean that in terms of like exerting energy. Obviously, he puts in work. I mean more so like expending his legs and just stamina and energy to get to the 7th match of the US Open. As far as who Medvedev has played to get to where he's currently at, a couple rounds ago, he ended up beating the 24th-ranked Evans, and then obviously most recently, he ended up beating the number 12 in the world, Alissime. But other than those two people, the other 4 opponents were all unranked, which does obviously make sense. He is the number 2 in the world, so therefore his seeding should definitely benefit him in every match. And he's definitely made light of his work. And now we have to look at Medvedev's opponent for the US Open final, and that would be the world number 1, Djokovic, who, as I mentioned earlier, is going for the calendar Grand Slam, which, for those of you unaware, has not been done on the men's side since 1969 and has not been done on the women's side since 1988. I don't think I have to sit here and tell you that it has been a long time. As far as Djokovic's match against Zverev, it did go 5 sets, and this match was Djokovic's only match that went the distance so far in the US Open. He hasn't necessarily made quick work of all of his opponents because in his last 4 matches, he has surprisingly dropped the first set in all 4 of them, but then obviously came back to win the first 3 in 3 straight sets after he drops the first set, and then obviously the one against Zverev ended up going the distance, but obviously he came out on top. The one against Zverev, yes, it did go 5 sets. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a typical 5-set game for Djokovic, more so on the time aspect. In my opinion, a 5-setter, at least on Djokovic's side, that only goes about 3.5 hours, feels quick, but nonetheless, 5 sets is still 5 sets. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and break down Djokovic's game, because odds are, if you're watching this and you have any idea of Djokovic and who he is, you probably know exactly what he can do, what he's capable of, and that's great. That's fine. He is a very good tennis player. I'm very excited to see him tomorrow against Medvedev, and if he can compete for the calendar Grand Slam. So the one thing that I did want to touch on, though, the whole thing that I'm going to be watching for in this match is essentially who has the fresher legs. Like I mentioned earlier when talking about Medvedev and how only one of his 6 matches has not been done in straight sets, at least on paper, it definitely looks like Medvedev has the fresher legs, strictly because he's played significantly less sets than Djokovic. For example, Medvedev has only played 19 sets through his 6 matches, where Djokovic has played 24 sets through his 6 matches. Now, Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here and telling you that this is going to be the deciding factor, but it's just something that I think could be interesting if the match in general goes 4 to 5 sets. Who has the fresher legs? And obviously, Djokovic is the number one in the world for a reason. So he could very well come out and look just as fresh as Medvedev. And it's just going to come down to who ends up playing the best game. As of right now, the final matchup between these two is slated for Sunday, September 12th, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I am honestly so torn between who I think is going to win versus who I want to win. Because on the one hand, you have Djokovic, who is going for history that hasn't been done in over 50 years. But then on the other hand, you have Medvedev trying to essentially stop history from happening. And I don't really know which one I want to root for because I'm not necessarily giant fans of either of these two individuals. Definitely, I can recognize that they are amazing tennis players, but would I call myself a fan of either of them? No. So therefore, this should hopefully be a fairly unbiased video. And to wrap this video up with my prediction, I'm going to just let you know right now that it is a literal coin flip on who I think is going to win. I am just going to give it to Djokovic merely because of what is on the line. He is going to wake up on Sunday morning and he is going to only have one goal in mind, and that is to win at 4 o'clock. And I think that he will do everything in his power, in his number one world ranking body, to make sure that he pulls off this victory. Will I be shocked if Medvedev wins? Absolutely not. But if you're asking me who I think is going to win right now, my answer is Djokovic. If you guys like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. For more sports videos, feel free to stick around and subscribe. As always, I will see you guys next video.